guys, the news we were waiting for. Finally. Took a while, but
we did it.
Officially, we got the OC. We do have.
Oh, man.
I mean, I'm curious to get people's takeaways on the comments. Let us know. I'm seeing back and forth, understandably, but at this point in the search, we had literally just talked about it like, I don't know, 30 minutes, hour ago, whatever it was. We had the stream earlier today and feeling like we're getting there. But Thomas, Sean Mannion is officially the Eagles' next offensive coordinator.
Can I just say that we have no clue if Sean Mannion's going to be good or not? As with all the other offensive coordinators, I feel good about this one, Josh. I feel really good about this one. It's not Jim Bob Cooter. It is not Matt Nagy. And it's not, I don't know, Grizzard from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Come on. This is a guy, and we can dive into this, who has been vaulting up NFL coaching ranks. He's only been a coach for 2 seasons, a former NFL quarterback. But you're going to start to see, Josh will do a show on it tonight. I'll do a show on it tomorrow. People inside Green Bay are not happy. People inside Green Bay see him as a future head coach, not just a future offensive coordinator. And the fact that he impressed Philadelphia so darn much for them to go against Nick Sirianni's buddy, Jim Bob Cooter, and go against the safe option of Matt Nagy, who could have been a pretty easy sell. He's an Andy Reid disciple. It tells you that they were extremely impressed with this guy. And now the question is, what kind of offense does he want to run? Is it a LaFleur-style offense? Is it a Sean McVay-style offense? Is it a mixture of all the different... He's worked under Kevin O'Connell, and Stefanski was his coach back in the day, and Sean McVay, and then worked under LaFleur. Does he blend them all together? We have more questions than answers right now on what the Eagles will look like offensively. But let me just say, I'm pumped by this. This was the guy that I wanted out of the alleged Final 3, or I guess Final 4, with Gerard Johnson, who was in the building today, by the way, interviewing a second time. And they went with Mannion now. I'm pumped, Josh. This, to me, is a home run hire.
Yeah, out of, like you said, out of the candidates that we had there, and again, as you mentioned, nobody knows. This could end up being a flop.
100%.
I understand the people going out there and saying, like, it's Andy Reid 2.0. Hopefully so, in terms of play calling. He does not have, I don't know what it was, 15 years of coaching experience that Andy Reid had before he started calling plays, but there is, the similarity of sorts of being a quarterback's coach coming from Green Bay. Officially, I will just go ahead and put it up here on the screen because, people wondering, like, okay, we've had rumors.
It's official,
reports,
guys.
Obviously,
Trust
and
us.
everything else.
Trust
the
us.
Eagles page themselves have shared it, not even just Adam Schefter and others there. So you have
there
it from the Eagles themselves posting the Eagles are hiring Sean Mannion as the offensive coordinator. So that is the guy. I'm curious to see how this works out. Thomas, you made a great point a second ago. Obviously, with the different coordinators that he's worked under, he's been an NFL player. Granted, not great in terms of play style, but I think that just to be out there and understanding what it's like to be a quarterback, I think most importantly, maybe for me, is the fact that he's had exposure to all of those different systems like you're talking about there. And that's as a player, and he's had some from the coaching standpoint, obviously with Green Bay, but he can relate to Jalen Hurts, right? And if we look at it and say Jalen's dealt with a plethora of schemes, systems, thoughts, ways to try to carve up a defense or what they're going to actually do, Mannion can say, look, man, I get it. I feel for you. I know how difficult it is to have to try to learn something and then scrap it the next year, come back with something different. So to have a guy who has that type of resume, I think is vital for Jalen and his kind of improvement to the next level. Hopefully, again, this is all that we can do right now. Hopefully it pans out because no one knows what he's like as a play caller or an offensive coordinator because he's never done it before. But out of the guys that were available that the Eagles were showing strong interest in, I mean, we could say Tanner Engstrand. I know we talked about him and the Jets former OC, Ben Johnson, disciple, right-hand man, whatever, but the Eagles never brought him in for an interview. So out of the guys that you had there that was legit interest and candidate, he is one of the top, if not the top. And I agree with you. We talk about Matt LaFleur as well. Matt LaFleur, he hired Sean Mannion on the spot when he wasn't even going to get hired initially with Matt LaFleur. If people don't know the story, he actually was sitting down with Matt LaFleur to get prepped for another interview, and he did so well in the mock interview of sorts that LaFleur goes, I'm actually not going to lose you. We're going to just go ahead and hire you to our staff. So I think if that says anything about the guy, very sharp mind, a bright up-and-comer, we'll just see. Did the Eagles, are they ahead of the game on this one? Or is it premature? And it's like, I don't know. Can this guy call plays? Can he sequence plays? Because we've seen the struggles with a Kevin Petula.
Yeah.
Obviously, they felt strongly enough. They took their time. But, that maybe is the best thing to come from it because they were certain on it.
Yeah, and you like to think that because they took their time, they heard a lot of different pitches, and a lot of different people had their vision of what they think the Philadelphia Eagle offense should look like. And I would love to know what Mannion's pitch was, right? It had to have been a very, very good one. But all the reports seem to indicate they wanted a change. That was very early in the coaching search in terms of offensive coordinator. They wanted somebody different. They also wanted somebody with autonomy, Josh. That was a pitch that we heard like day 3 or day 2 after they fired Ken Patullo. So now does Sean Mannion get full, autonomy to do whatever he wants from an offensive play calling standpoint? That is a very, very interesting question. So we're going to have to wait and see. We'll get a press conference, I'm sure, here coming up very, very soon. But if everybody's saying that this guy's a bum or this guy is a nobody or this guy, doesn't have the experience that we are looking for, you have to take it all into context with who the other options were. Because we weren't getting Declan Doyle, even though there's an argument this is very similar to a Declan Doyle hire. He's in the coaching tree. Matt LaFleur, Ben Johnson, both are considered very good offensive minds. These are two guys who did not call plays in these systems, but were, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. I think a lot of people who are mad about this would have been happy with Declan Doyle. They're very similar. But at the exact same time, go with what was on the table. It was Gerard Johnson, the Houston Texan, I think, quarterback coach, right? Somebody... Or was he the offensive coordinator? He was one of those two things.
Coach, yes, yep.
No play calling experience, right? Technically a backup quarterback in the National Football League, but someone way less known than Sean Mannion. Your other options basically were the Buccaneers offensive coordinator who made the Bucs way worse technically and couldn't call
KP
plays
2.0 is what I'm feeling
like. Literally. And then Jim Bob Cooter, who, if they would have tried to sell us Jim Bob Cooter, Josh, I think 90% of Eagle fans would have been like, oh, so they're just going to run Nick Sirianni's offense all over again. That would have been what we all thought deep down. It's like, okay, well, it's the Shane Steichen tree, and they're all buddies in Indianapolis, and we're just going to get Nick Sirianni 2.0. The promise with Mannion is this. It should look different. And if it doesn't look different, there are going to be some serious repercussions to people above Sean Mannion, a.k.a. Nick Sirianni, because Sean Mannion has no ties to Nick Sirianni. He has no ties to the conservative play calling. We're going to run shotgun with no motion. Go watch the Green Bay Packers. And for anybody that's saying, Matt LaFleur hasn't won much, Matt LaFleur's won a ton. There's a reason why the Green Bay Packers, even if they have come up short in the playoffs recently, we're not going to let Matt LaFleur even sniff free agency as an NFL head coach. They gave him a massive extension a couple of weeks ago because they consider him, the rest of the National Football League, one of the elite schemers and play callers and sequencers, as you mentioned, in the National Football League. And now you're getting a disciple. And again, the promise is it should look different than Nick Sirianni's offense, and everybody should be pumped by that.
Yeah, I love all the takeaways though too. You got some people.
Oh,
that
I know. Everyone's all over the place. I know.
Some people that even say, "I don't even like his name." All right, well, maybe that's JBC. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm just
I think
kind
it's
of
JBC.
tracking. It's probably JBC. But regardless of that, I would just say and I think that the vast majority of even kill normal people understand this. Don't let someone tell you that this is an absolute, fantastic, excellent hire in the sense of it's a home run for sure and they're going to work out. But then also don't let someone tell you, oh, this is just terrible, right? Like the ultra negativity, the people we're cooked or whatever. You know what? Just forget them. Ignore that because no one knows. This could work out really good. But I love it for a lot of the reasons that you just shared there, as well as, look at what Malik Willis did. If you want to talk about a quarterback coach and being able to see how they shift a guy's mindset and game, Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit. Sure, he's at the very top. But when you talk about a backup quarterback coming in there, and he had Malik Willis playing against the Ravens in that game. There was another one where he came in very early against Chicago. Malik Willis played really well. In fact, he probably played himself into a pretty good contract during free agency. We'll see how that plays out. I would imagine he does. The way you give a ton of credit to Sean Mannion, he was the quarterback's coach. And so I got to believe a lot of those other things you talked about, what was his pitch, what's he showing to the Eagles there, a lot of great things, but also just the eye test. The resume speaks for itself to say, hey, he went in there and was able to help Malik Willis, who did not have a good career or anything going for him before he made it to the Packers and being coached by Sean Mannion, to then, who was that guy? In those two games against the Ravens and Bears, you're like, Could he outplay Jordan Love? He's playing fantastic. And so you go by those metrics. Again, the Packers did not do what the Packers fans would suggest that they wanted to do, obviously. But if you look at the metrics just from a passing standpoint of their offense, the Packers were a top 3 passing efficiency offense this past season. That's under Matt LaFleur. That's under Sean Mannion. Obviously, again, he's not the offensive coordinator and calling plays. But just from a growth and helping Jalen to take it to the next level, I've got to believe that was a huge part of his pitch. And ultimately, the reason why Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman said, you know what, we're going to pull the trigger on this. So,
and I think that
lots of hype.
Well, I was going to say, I think that really, to me, would be the pitch that I would want to hear. If you're Sean Mannion, you go in there and you say, look what happened with Jordan Love, and then look what happened with Malik Willis. I will take Jalen Hurts and bring the best I can possibly get out of him and make the Eagles' passing game a threat. We all understand the Eagle offensive line underperformed this past season, Josh, and we really believe that it was pretty darn injured, right? Landon Dickerson's hinted at that. Juergens hinted at that. Lane Johnson missed it 8 games. You fix the offensive line. Saquon Barkley surely still has that burst. Tank Bigsby's under contract. They should be able to run the football. What Philadelphia's offense has lacked is a consistent passing attack. We have seen it in spurts. We saw it during the playoff run in 2024. We saw it a lot in 2022. We know it is possible. But what we have seen in 2025 is a passing attack that is loaded with hitch routes, that's loaded with zero motion and zero creativity. And all Philadelphia needed to do is give us a little bit more creativity, and they're probably, I don't know, maybe still alive in the playoffs, or at least would have gotten past the first round. That's what people are missing here, Josh, with Philadelphia's offense. Philadelphia's offense was the most basic vanilla high school version of any NFL offense we saw in the entire league, down there with the Raiders and some of the worst performers, and they still won the NFC East with a couple of weeks left to go, and they still were in the running for the number 2 seed until basically the final week. I mean, they won a lot of games with that terrible offense. So it's not like Mannion has to take Philadelphia into the number 1 passing attack. If they did that, they win the Super Bowl next year. That's basically guaranteed. If they're the 11th best passing attack in the National Football League, we said this for years, by the way, if the Eagle offense is top 15 and the running game is top 10, I mean, this is a double-digit winning roster with how good the defense is currently looking, and this is a football team that could go deep in the playoffs. That's all he has to do, and yet it seems like a monumental task because we just came from a guy in Ken Patullo and maybe even Nick Sirianni who couldn't even get us in the top 25. It was really that bad. And again, the one pitch I give to you, Josh, no Sirianni connections at all. He should be a fresh coat of paint on the Sirianni offense with fresh ideas, and now we will 100% know at the end of 2026, Josh, the offense is still bad, and it still looks the same as it did this past year. It's always been Sirianni. If it looks completely different, maybe that means it as well, but Sean Mannion will go and get a lot of credit.
Yes, he absolutely will. And again, it's a risk regardless of who they were going to go with at that point because of who we were talking about for the candidates, but they've done their due diligence. We talked about this on the past with the other live stream, because of the one we did earlier today too, but they've proven it. The track record of Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, the Eagles front office organization, when they course correct to external hires, the vast majority of the time, it works out. Like nobody, very few, hardly anybody, but very few wanted Nick Sirianni. Now, say what you will about him at that X's and O's, they won a Super Bowl. Ultimately, it did work out that way. Doug Peterson, not a top candidate. It worked out. Andy Reid kind of came out of nowhere. Like that was what? A quarterback's coach from the Packers. Yeah, he's got some coaching experience, but he hasn't called plays before because he hadn't. And then he came over to Philly and worked out. Now, no Super Bowl, sure, but like, come on. What you got out of Andy Reid, that's a massive, monumental success. So it's a lot of times looking at those external hires that doesn't really meet the criteria of us, just fans in general, but they do their due diligence. They know what they're looking at, and they believe strongly in him. So that's enough for me to at least be positive about this, like we said. And I'm hopeful just to see how he works with Jalen Hurts. The hitch routes should not be back. I mean, we'll see, but they should.
Goodness gracious.
Because 48 hitch routes in one playoff game, that's totally unacceptable. For those that want to have a little bit of peace of mind, the Packers did not run a lot of hitch routes. They were towards the bottom. There's a reason they were very efficient in the passing game.
Yeah.
You would think and hope that the Mannion, having been a little bit more influenced by Sean McVay in his playing days, and then obviously Matt LaFleur as a coach, probably not going to use the hitch routes, but again, it remains to be seen there. Should have autonomy. Several super chats, tons of super chats. The people reacted, which I appreciate you guys. Make sure to drop a like though if you haven't already.
Yes, drop a like.
Zarvan with the 5. Go Birds. DHs.
There we go.
Go Birds.
There we go.
Got it done. Also,
I don't know why you would be negative about this, Josh. I know people will, like another Sirianni scapegoat. Yeah. Not Mike McDaniel, not Brian Daboll, okay? We knew that a couple of weeks ago. Basically, McDaniel was out, and they, had confirmed that Daboll was going to be a Tennessee Titan. But then you go through the best of the rest, right? And that's where Philadelphia was at. Monken took a head coaching job, right? You're not getting Todd Monken. Declan Dore decided to stay, You got to go with what was on the table. And I have been saying this for a couple of days now. I really don't want Matt Nagy, but I could understand it. I definitely don't want Jim Bob Cooter. Please do not go ahead and get the Bucs offensive coordinator. This, to me, was a little bit more of a risk, but I think the reward could be a lot higher. And I think after watching the offense this past season, why not take a risk, right? Why not prove that Jalen Hurts is really good, or maybe prove that he really isn't that good, right? Why not give the Eagles a modern NFL offense with motion and under center play action pass and dynamic routes designed to get Devontae Smith open? I mean, why not try it? And this, to me, at least says that they're going to give it a try.
Yeah, and I think they made one of the biggest emphasis on trying to shape this towards Jalen Hurts, quite honestly. Because if you look at even the candidates they brought in, we talked about this before. I get it that some people don't say, oh, well, you know, as far as play calling, they don't have experience there. Who cares if it was Malik Willis looking better, Jordan Love, or a passing game there? He didn't call plays. But again, you go back to and say, they clearly had the focus. You may not like it, the negativity out there, you may not like it, but that was the focus of what Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman were doing. We're saying, let's get somebody who we believe in to help our quarterback be the best that he can be. Everyone has limitations. Every quarterback out there does. We understand this. So does Jalen Hurts.
Sure.
But can he be the best player in that type of system? Jim Bob Cooter did not call plays. Did he help with Daniel Jones? Probably. Like, there's a reason they brought him in. Gerard Johnson didn't ever call plays, but it's quarterback's coach of the Texans. Why is he getting brought in for a second interview? And if someone says, oh, well, the Rooney Rule, that had actually already been qualified. The Rooney Rule had been met because they interviewed everyone in God's green earth for the interview process, so they had already taken care of that. But they're actually legit interested in Gerard Johnson. So that was there. You had the Sean Mannion connection as well with the quarterback's coach. So I do believe that it's a very clear, making it very, very clear and obvious of what they were trying to do there, of get a guy who takes Jalen to that next level. And again, hopefully it builds this offense around Jalen's kind of creativity too, to say, hey, what do you like? What do you not like? How can we help kind of maneuver you in this ability? But then at the same time too, maybe challenge him a little bit. We don't know necessarily who it was with the lack of running or the unwillingness to run. I know it's all the rumors and speculation. I ultimately believe that Jalen's willing to do whatever it takes to win, as he said a number of times. But regardless, you've got a guy, as we said, who's played quarterback in the NFL and understands things from both sides of the coaching and the player. And I think that's massive at the end of the day. Chicago with a 5, Chicago Nava. Let's go. Last guy to come out of Green Bay, Andy Reid. Go Birds. See, we brought that up a
Great point.
ago, but positive.
Yeah, both were quarterback coaches. Reid was 27 when Philadelphia got the interest in him. Mannion's 33, young. I mean, one thing we got to say about first time offensive play callers. Everybody was a first time offensive play caller at one point, Josh. Now some of them can't handle it. We had one last year named Ken Patullo. Clearly could not handle it. Some of them are Sean McVay. Now, we're not saying Sean Mannion is Sean McVay. Come on, don't be ridiculous. But obviously, not everybody can be a experienced offensive play caller. And guess what? The only experienced offensive play caller Philadelphia had interviewed was Matt Nagy and technically Jim Bob Cooter, but that was like 50 years ago for both of them, right? Nagy was the Bear guy, and that was before he got fired. And Jim Bob Cooter was the Lion guy, and he's been with the Colts for like 5 years. So you want to talk about getting inexperience. Those two technically have experience, but it's pretty darn old experience. Again, I'm ready to roll the dice. I want it to look more modern, and I think this is a pretty good chance at least.
Yeah, and there's a legit argument to be made here too, of even if Mannion has a good year, that doesn't necessarily mean that you lose him, right? Like he will probably get interviews for sure, right? Like if he has a good year, okay, we're like, well, let's see about a head coach interview and try to get him to another job. But I don't think it's as much of someone who's been a little bit more seasoned of an offensive coordinator, right? Because like with Kellen Moore, that had been, well, he'd already been an offensive coordinator at multiple stops for several seasons. He had been around a bunch of different systems. So that was a more obvious. I could absolutely see if the Eagles are good and even if they go to the Super Bowl and win it, Sean Mannion will get interviews. But I don't know that that's necessarily like, okay, hey, we're ready to hire him this go around. I think he'd be like, all right, cool. He's on the radar. I think it almost would still feel similar of sorts to almost like a Nate Schillhouse for the Rams. Like, okay, he's been recognized. He's getting some head coach interviews, but he's not quite ready yet. Like there's really getting close to it.
That's a good point.
And so, even though it may only be for 2 seasons, then at least it'd be more than one. So I don't think that's a foregone conclusion to say, oh, this is a one and done. They did it again. We're going to be back to the same spot. They may be, but I'm still optimistic about it from who all they brought in. Free Spool with a 5, better than Patullo. a lot better than the other options. Let's go. Go Birds. That's where we're at.
There you go.
It is.
Go Birds.
I mean,
Heck yeah.
come on, man. It's and we've been honest about this, said this back whenever they started dwindling down the list of candidates and other guys got hired. There were other guys that were my top pick. Several. I was like Todd Monken, first one. Okay, that's probably off the list. Joe Brady. Okay, well, that one's probably off the list. Tanner Engstrom becomes available. Would love to see him get interviewed. Not even really in question. I mean, those were very obvious ones out there that I kept throwing. So it didn't happen. I'm not going to sit up here and go, oh, this is my top candidate. But again, what we say, out of the ones the Eagles brought in and we started to do our digging on, I do think that most people would agree that there's probably the most excitement. There's certainly the most potential here, but probably the most excitement as well. Abdus with a 5, the last quarterback coach hired from the Packers, Andy Reid. See, another one of those.
Gonna hear that a lot. Yep.
I wanted the Rams offensive coordinator, young and creative. So you're going to hear that one too.
But again, Shieldhouse has not called plays, right? So if we're going to get mad at Mannion for not calling plays, but he has technically been under an offensive genius, the floor's, right there with McVay. I think McVay's a little better. Shieldhouse would have been the exact same way, but because the Rams went further in the playoffs and McVay, I think, is the best coach in the National Football League, Shieldhouse is put on this, pedestal of being this like genius, and he has technically more coaching experience. But if you could get somebody who actually has quarterback experience, maybe he has the mindset that understands Jalen Hurts better, because that's a question we're all going to be waiting to hear is, what does Jalen Hurts think? Who knows how long it'll take for us to hear from him? It could be, during OTAs in May. But I think that the Shieldhouse comparison is fair, but at the same time, they're in a very similar boat of people who have their hands in the offensive system. They're not calling the plays, and yet we're acting like one is this, unstoppable future head coach. And yet Shawn Mannion, again, you're going to hear a lot about this the next couple of days. People said they thought he would be a future head coach in Philadelphia. Grabbed him before somebody else could.
There you go. We've been taking a chance. Cameron with a 2. How do we feel about the news of Jeff Stoutland? Well, we talked about that in more depth on the previous live stream, so we're not going to dive into it a ton here. Obviously, the news of Sean Mannion with the OC, so keeping it there. But overall, if it brings a new voice in or they're trying to change some things, maybe focus more just on the O-line play, I think it could be a positive. As long as he's still there, I don't necessarily want to see Jeff Stoutland go completely, but who knows what the other news or possibility becomes. Darth Panda with a 10 bomb. Appreciate that. People need to stop freaking out. Reed was not a play caller. See, when he got hired to Eagles head coach. Also, McVay, it can't be worse than a high and hitch routes run under Patullo, and that is 100%. It can't be worse.
It can't be worse. It can't be worse. Yep, I agree.
Mr. Rot with a 5. You gents put in the work. If you're happy, I'm happy. Not real familiar with the guy, but optimistic. Let's go. Fly, Eagles, fly. Thank you for that.
There you go. And I think if you don't know this guy that much, I think that's kind of what you go with. You lean positive. You go with his history and who he's worked with the past 2 seasons, and you hope for the best.
Yes. Yep. Zarvan with 2 more. Any news on Godfather Fangio retiring? No, it's all speculation.
We've not heard anything.
There's no hard news.
Not heard anything.
It's literally just fear-mongering and anxiety and stress and everything else. But there's nothing hard news of like it's actually going to happen.
We'll go live if something were to happen.
For sure,
Just
yes.
let that be said. Shout out to 4,000 people watching in the chat right
as
now.
we are if that does happen. But we're believing it won't happen. But 5 from Mr. Sanchito. What's also great about this is if Mannion does well, he'll be here for more than one season. I think that too. I think there's a legit possibility.
There's a good chance.
He does well. Yep. Green Wingman with a 5. Hopefully Mannion pushes Jalen to his limits as well to utilize the strength of wide receivers, running backs, and a future tight end. I'm totally on board with that. Anthony DeBona, the man himself. Shout out to Ant-Man with a 5. I'm unfortunately stuck at work due to the snowstorm, but I'm a fan of hiring Sean Mannion. Take the high upside swing over the low ceiling veteran.
There you go. Exactly right. He's 100% right. It is high risk. I don't even say it's high risk. It's certainly a bigger risk than others, right? But the reward, how high? Be very, very high.
Yeah, and I'll absolutely sign up for that. But good luck with the snowstorm, Anthony. Stay safe.
Hang in there.
Lots of shoveling, I hear. But hopefully you're good. Halfway Crook with a 5. Has this guy even called plays before? Him being a quarterback, that's just Kevin Patullo 2.0 or quarterback coach. All over again. WTF? Why is Nick still here? Man, he's a bum. So there's a lot of negativity. Halfway Crook.
See, the mad people want Nick Sirianni fired, right? That's if you're mad about Mannion, you probably want Nick Sirianni fired, which I don't blame you. A lot of people did. We talked about that, but he wasn't going to get fired. You have to accept the reality and the real world that we're living in right now. He'll be the coach for at least another year. and you better hope that he succeeds, or it means Philadelphia has a bad 2026. I don't think you want that. So,
It's true.
you know,
Yeah.
I understand. It's Philly. People happy and mad, whatever. But I'm happy about this one.
If it feels like and I guess it'd be crazy because if he does bad, then probably not. But there's not an impossible scenario, I guess, where you could move on from Sirianni and say, well, we still like what we've seen from Sean Mannion for whatever reason. I don't know how you've lost games and still, but if they believe in the potential and they're just moving on there. Daya with the 3 left, which was on the table, but there's another negativity. KP 2.0. This is not.
It's not.
I'm not believing it is. Again, at the end of the day, maybe it ends up being there, but there's no way you can objectively say one way or the you can't be polar opposite. Like you can't be on the extremes of the spectrum there either way. Brent with a 2. This is a highly opportunistic hire.
Yep.
It's a fair way to classify
100%.
that. Yeah.
100%.
Keith with a 5 also. Just hope this guy doesn't spam Saquon up the middle and AJ deep ball. Yeah.
Don't think he will. I don't think he will,
like
but we will hold his feet to the fire if he does, as we did with Kemba Tula. Let's just make that promise as all Eagle fans unite in that sort of sense.
Yep. Billy with a 5. We're moving on from KP. Every step is a step forward. Again, there's some more positive. We'll take that. The Viper with the 5. I really like this hire. They took their time and chose their right guy. Can't wait for the next season to get here. I know it's only.
I'm right there with you.
Forever
I'm right
away,
there with you.
There's lots of off-season moves, so they got to get those things figured out as well. And you do wonder, like personnel, how that might affect things of who's here, who's not here, the decisions that they make. But that'll be all over the course of the offseason, which we've got you covered for. Evan with a 20 bomb.
Yep.
I think there's overemphasis on play calling experience. Hard to play call well when the plays are bad. But then I think that KP/Nick Sirianni have bad schemes in play. Sounds like this could be better scheme and design. Play calling will follow.
There you go. I think so. There's only 32 jobs. 32 people can call plays in the National Football League. Not like you can have a bunch of experience unless you go down to college. And those plays are very different than NFL plays. So it's, hard to get experience. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Teams take a chance. I don't know what the percentages and odds are, but for every Sean McVay, because Sean McVay had to eventually call plays. He hadn't ever, but eventually at some point he had to call plays. So Ben Johnson the same way. Like at some point, a team does take a chance on a guy like that, and then you do have your other instances of a Kevin Patullo, for example. But you didn't have nationally hype around Kevin Patullo. That was an internal like, oh well, okay, the Eagles are going to give Kevin Patullo a shot. Other teams around the league weren't like, oh man, hey, have you heard about that Kevin Patullo guy? Like, he could be a legit candidate as OC or head coach out there, not like Sean Mannion. So, you also go and look at the Packers fans, their reactions to losing Mannion. It's at least a positive of sorts, right? Because I like seeing opposing fan base going like, oh shoot, we lost that guy. Like we wanted they were the general consensus, I should say, of Green Bay fans was wanting to move on from their current OC so they could then promote Sean Manion to the OC role. They did not want to lose Sean Mannion as the QB coach. So, who knows? We don't know about play calling, but at least there's some positive or optimism from that. Kenny with a 5 took a chance on Brian Johnson and Patullo, who've never called plays and didn't work. Third time is the charm, I guess. It's an extra hire.
They came from the Sirianni tree, though, right?
Yep.
That's the difference. We're going outside the building. The past 2 external hires have been pretty good, and the last one that had zero connection to Nick Sirianni, Ken Patullo, really good. So there's a difference there, guys. There's a difference.
Yep. And we're hoping. We'll see. It could be a failure, like we said, but it also could work.
It could be.
Zarvon, the picture the Eagles posted, had me thinking it was Shane Gillis. I guess he got.
It looks like Shane Gillis.
I guess it does. I guess I could see that. There's some similarity.
It looks
on
like
that.
Shane Gillis.
Yeah. I feel like they gave him a little extra hair. Maybe he just like fixed it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
A little more balding than that one, but maybe they did him some favors. He'll probably wear the hat most of the time, but yeah, I guess that's a good point. Timothy with a 10. Every elite coach at some point. Seat was a nobody. Let's hope Sirianni doesn't smear his offense into Sean. Let's be positive and lock in. Also, do you think Christian Parker is going to bring our free agents to Dallas?
It's a whole different topic for another day. We've talked about that. But maybe I could see him going for Nakobe Dean and Reed Blankenship, but we'll see.
Yep. IBH with the 2. LaFleur's record speaks for itself. Very promising. That it does. I mean, just from quarterbacks
that it does.
And being able to take them and kind of push them to the next level. Now, decision making from quarterbacks in particular can sometimes be suspect, but if you just break it down specifically from the play calling, the scheme, the just overall system in itself, the film does speak for itself. So that is the hope that Shawn Mannion brings that with him. We don't have a track record before we can pull from. Oh, hey, he does this or that because he hasn't called plays, but it is the hope. Tyler with a 5. Does this mean he's going against? That's interesting. He's going to be against the tush push.
Good question. I do know, Josh, he will be against hitch routes. You mentioned that. How about this stat? In 2025, the Eagles ran the most hitch routes of any team in the NFL. The team who ran the second least of hitch routes in the NFL, Josh, the Green Bay Packers.
Hey.
Billy doubled the amount of hitch route from the Green Bay Packers this past season. So
that's crazy.
Let's just say, I'm just saying.
Surely will not go there. If we see hitch routes, then we'll know that he doesn't have full autonomy. So I disagree with the narrative that Hurts is limited as a quarterback. He was all-pro in 2022, so he can pass if/when he wants to. We ran well in 2024 because of Hurts too. When he got hurt versus Washington, for example, we lost. Go Birds. For sure, go Birds. And I don't think it's in reference to my comment earlier, but again, what I was saying there is every quarterback is limited in the NFL, and that's of the sense of going like every quarterback has their strengths and every quarterback has their weaknesses. But yeah, to go from the standpoint of like he's limited and can't learn an NFL offense or something like that, which I have seen some people throw out there, that's ludicrous. We've seen him do more than enough to say, yes, he is more than capable to be successful, and we'll see if it's Shawn Mannion's offense. Hey, Dusky with a 2. Hope he can unlock Hurts and stand up to Sirianni. I think that, as a quarterback in the league, he is young, 33 years old, but as a quarterback in the league, having the coaching experience too, I think there's probably a little bit more to stand up as opposed to a young candidate who also maybe didn't have play calling experience, maybe didn't play in the league or wherever that comes from. So, I believe that he could. Stone with a 1. We appreciate that. Also got one here from Evan with a 20 bomb. Mott is right. Nick Sirianni brings something that makes the team successful, not his offense. With external offenses, it looks good. Internal looks bad. Play calling is the symptom, not the cause. Retention probably later. Hope it's not a short-term fix. That is true.
We'll see.
That's what we're buying into. Kids with the 5. There's no way you guys like this move.
Come on. No, I like this move. What move did you want of the actual ones we could have had? You want a Gerard Johnson? You want a Mike Grizzard?
No.
Is that who you wanted? You want a Mike? Can you imagine trying to sell Mike Grizzard? Yeah, well, the Bucs offense got like twice as worse as it did whenever he was the offensive coordinator versus when he wasn't. I mean, what are we doing, right? Come on. Yeah. Gerard Johnson, have you watched C.J. Stroud? You want to pitch me C.J. Stroud has gotten better since his rookie season? No, thanks.
Yeah,
I'm good.
Absolutely not.
I'm good.
Again, I get it, and I just went through this a second ago. Like, it was not the top pick. It was not my top 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. Anthony DeBona, heck, he wrote 21 potential candidates for the Eagles and didn't have Shawn Mannion on. So, like, we're not saying that, we were praying and hoping for Shawn Mannion this entire time. Absolutely not. But, like Thomas just said, out of the available options there, it is the ultimate potential. It's the highest ceiling. And I would rather fortune favoring the bold and go after this than to say, well, let's just bring in Matt Nagy because, we can guarantee ourselves a 20th ranked offense and it's just kind of very vanilla and nothing creative, but it'll be just okay. And as long as the defense plays as the best defense in the NFL, then we might have a shot. Like, forget that. You got still a window here. It's not like it's closed or even extremely close. We believe in Howie and the team building. So, yeah, I am hopeful that it can work out. And again, like I said, I think it's the best out of those options. David with a 5. I like the hire. He will likely stay more than 1 year. I bet criteria. There you go. A first for Jalen, even back to college, which is true. And we beat ESPN. Great show. Go Birds. We beat ESPN.
We
news.
Did beat ESPN. Yeah, we get some rumblings here and there. We'll just say that. We'll just say that. The thumbnail was made pretty quick. How about that?
Yep. Maybe. Who knows? Who knows when it was made?
Yeah.
But we got on quick. Brian with a 2. Everybody calm down. It's not KP. Go Birds. There we go, Brian. It's not KP.
There you go.
It's not Kevin Petullo. Maybe Sean had to be convinced that fans won't egg his house. I don't know if that also came up in his contract, but he did sign it, so he is the OC.
He did sign it. That's right.
Subvets D with a 5. Sean Mannion looks like a best pick of what's left. See, he used to work with a dual threat quarterback. I'm optimistic for now. I think that's the best place to be in.
I think Malik Willis really helped his case. I mean, one thing if it's Jordan Love, the other thing if it's Malik Willis. I mean, come on, it feels pretty good. I think it feels pretty good overall. Malik Willis was very impressive.
Fanny with a 5 also. People in the chat already talking negative about betting on a second-year coach. I'd bet on him before I bet on a chat group coach or couch coach. There is, but you know what? This happens a lot.
Some people are couch coaches,
and you knew it was going to happen regardless because we went through the list of candidates that they were, considering. This was always going to happen. Adam with a 10. Any worry about this hire being used as a potential scapegoat for Nick again if it doesn't work out? I don't want to be completely negative, but in my opinion, Nick's inability to call plays stems a lot of the issues. I'm not super concerned, but like Thomas brought up a second ago, or kind of alluding to, this still can be the best of both worlds in the sense of like, look, if it doesn't work out, Nick Sirianni's gone. So then you're completely revamping the search and going like, who's going to be the head coach? And you're probably trying to look at someone who can be the head coach and also call plays because we've gotten into this issue before. So you can completely fix your problems. But if not, if Mannion is good, like other people have mentioned here in the chat as well, he's probably not quite ready for a head coach job yet. So you most likely keep him for, who knows, 2 years, 3 years, and Jalen can develop with that. So I like it for that reason. CJ Deacon with a 2. Do y'all think this was what Shefty was hinting at? Well, he said something as opposed to OC.
I don't think it was what Shefty was hinting at, but I think Shefty knew this was coming. I mean, people, it sure seems like they made the decision today, but they wanted to hear from Gerard Johnson one more time. But it feels like this has been brewing the past kind of 48 hours. Yeah,
I agree. And again, he said something else as opposed to the OC, so it's probably something else, but we'll see. Goose loved this hire. He could easily elevate Hurts's play. And again, I think that's the number one thing. You talk about quarterback. That's probably where they're going first. KSAT with a 5. Can't be worse than KP. Won't know if he's good till mid-October, but we know people will freak out week 1. That's true.
I'm sure they will. Or you'll look really good week 1, and it will be really freaking out for the better.
Yeah. Maybe the overreactions, which I don't mind. I would rather the overreaction and freak out of like, oh my gosh, can you see the offense? We only called 4 hitch routes the entire game in week 1 or something. We'll celebrate that. Drag with a 2. New Sirianni quote just dropped on the Birds Instagram. Okay.
Yes, I'm reading it right now. He basically said he's thrilled to have him here. He will call plays for those people wondering. And also
Mannion
said, quote, it was quickly, apparent in meetings with Sean that he is a bright young coach with a tremendous future ahead of him in the league. I was impressed by his systemic views on offensive football and his strategic approach.
Okay.
Pretty good.
All right.
Pretty good. There you go.
And Nick won't call plays. Eagles fan with a 2 asking who's going to call plays. It is not Nick Sirianni. It will
Sean
be
Mannion.
Sean Mannion. So we're good to go there. Don't believe the Adam Schefter of Nick Sirianni could call plays if they needed to. No, he won't be calling plays.
No.
DKT with a 5. I'm sure people didn't like the Steichen hire either. There was
they didn't like the Kellen Moore one. A lot
of
people didn't like Kellen Moore. We forget that. It was like, he couldn't make it work with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. They lost a lot of playoff games, and people were wrong. So remember that.
Recycling candidates is a lot of times what people are saying. So this is a different route. Special K with a 5. This feels like a Frank/Nick with the Colts. If Nick calls plays, Sean gives a lot of input, chance to start your own tree.
Except for Sean will call plays. So
Sean, except for he will, as we were just sharing. But just got to the super chat there, so probably didn't hear that quite yet. JC Kirk with a 5. Don't think anyone realizes how dangerous this hire could be for the rest of the league. There is a reason why the Packers coveted him 100%. It's why the fans were upset about it. They wanted to fire their current OC. Poncho with a 2 regarding Mannion. Mannion reads Nick's new statement. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we just the new statement. Yeah, we just read that. So just saw it. Appreciate that though. Lunar Wolf with a 5. I'm glad to see this seems good for Jalen. We need to see one go higher and silence the critics, change the narrative, go Birds.
There you go. Yep.
Help out Jalen. Optimist with a 5 also. If it ends up results come out to be as high as a championship appearance plus staying for another year than a Super Bowl, I'll be okay with it. So stay for a while, championship, Super Bowl. Of course, we'd all live with that. That's probably the best case scenario. But we're believing that it's possible. Again, you make this offense average, and heck, if they're better than average, then it's difficult for the rest of the league. We will say that.
That's all we need.
New Jersey with a 10. Nice. He is from the Shanahan-McVay coaching tree. Been a Eagles fan since the late, great Buddy Ryan era. Seen a lot of the organization over the years. Let's regroup this offseason. Go Birds.
Go Birds. I like it. Sounds good to me.
Mike with a 2. So relieved it's not a retread like JBC, Nagy.
Me too.
You could probably insert a lot of others there, but I think that's the positive.
Thank the Lord.
There.
Thank
Slim
goodness.
Reaper
Yes.
with a 5. Didn't see a comment. We appreciate that, though. Mr. Q with the 10 bomb. Hopefully, Mannion will let QB1 loose because I believe the O-line going to the head coach, making them a run first, definitely hindered QB1's growth for the last 2 seasons. Let him make mistakes and grow.
There you go. Yep, I think so. Give him
Green Bay.
Give him a long leash and let him build the offense that he envisions, that he pitched in the meeting, that sold this whole idea of hiring him, and go from there.
Yep. New Jersey with a 5. Sometimes you have to go with a good offensive mind over play calling experience, which, we said before, you never. There's some guys that there eventually has to be new play callers that come in that have never done it before that then turn into geniuses, and you're like, what the heck? But everyone had to start their way somewhere. It goes for life in general. I mean, everyone for a job, you eventually get promoted into a job that's like, well, they didn't really do it, but they've been around it, and we think they can do it. It's the same thing here. We're hopeful. We're trying to be optimistic about it. But again, I think it is one of the highest ceilings out of the candidates available. Poncho with a 2. What does this mean for Leffler? Probably gone. I mean, they'll probably have questions or interviews, conversations, but you would imagine that Mannion is going to look around for his connections and previous guys and try to bring someone for a quarterback's coach and others. But we don't know yet. No official news. That'll probably be in the coming days and weeks. Eddie with the 5 that was preaching a little bit of patience, maybe for some optimism earlier, but says, is Thomas all right or just fed up with the fans wanting the absurdities?
Listen, I'm a little fed up with the absurdities. Okay, Nick Foles was not coming through that door. I might have been a little harsh, but I just think you had to look at who was available, right? And I get it. I know people love to speculate. Like, what if Nick Foles were to come through that door? Like what if we were to, make Nick Foles the quarterback coach, and then we bring in Matt Nagy? Like, the realistic people were fourfold. It was Nagy, Gerard Johnson, Mannion, and Jim Bob Cooter. And of that list, I wanted Mannion. We got Mannion, and I'm pumped.
Same here. Yes, we're excited about it. As excited as we can be for it. Anthony with 5. To be honest, fellas, the bar was pretty low. That is true. KP isn't a very tall bar to high jump. Just give us something to work with. LOL. That's what
true.
They did.
Like we said, 27th ranked passing attack versus the 16th ranked passing attack. How many more games does Philadelphia win this past season, Josh? I mean, seriously, that's what you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And for sure, the first round matchup, I'm convinced of that. They win against the Niners if they had the average middle of the pack. And then they would have gone to Chicago. I didn't see anything in that game that made me think if the Eagles, it's hypothetical, but if the Eagles were average in their passing game or just average in their offense, that they couldn't have hung with Chicago. Now, if and when they go to Seattle there and, maybe a different story, but you would still take the chances. You'd be like, all right, hey, let's make something happen. And that's all we can ask for. Tyler, the 20 bomb. Dude, appreciate that. Winning the Super Bowl gave us revisionist history. Tons of people weren't high on Kellen Moore at the beginning, and you mentioned that a second ago.
Great
point. Even into the start of the season, Jalen with an OC that's played quarterback at a high level, NFL of sorts, has had success, though, like the move. Go Birds.
People forget that he looked really good in 2022 with a competent offensive coordinator and really good at times. He had a couple bad games, but sure, 2024 with a competent offensive coordinator. We are products of recency bias in the National Football League and also in our lives as well. I just had a brand new, I have a 3-month-old baby. I've already forgotten about how bad it was the first month, right? Waking up a billion times a night because she's so great now, right? The exact same thing that happened with offensive coordinators, recency biased. And I think that if we remember that, we can give Sean Mannion the benefit of the doubt. Because the best thing that we can do as Eagle fans is support it, benefit of the doubt, and wait for him to prove us wrong. If he does, we'll come after him. I mean, not like throw eggs at his house, not saying that, but we will criticize him like Empatullo. But if he does well, I mean, you can be an absolute hero in Philadelphia if you win football games, for sure.
He can, jumpstart the career, and whether that's moving up in Philly or after a couple seasons going somewhere else, and sure, then we're in the same boat. But it's a great opportunity for both sides. A with a 5. If he brings creativity and success to the offense and helps unlock Hurts even more, I pray he stays for at least 2 years. And
There you go.
that's probably another thought that they had, which we said.
Sounds good to me.
Lamont,
Yep.
appreciate that super chat. Didn't see a comment. We do appreciate that one. Elliot with a 2 also. Does the Jalen development passing hire... Does the Jalen development / passing hire pacify AJ? I don't know that...
Don't know.
I don't know that this is necessarily a hire that they go into and say, like, hey, we're hiring this guy to pacify AJ for the question there. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Right.
Like, is it enough to keep AJ if he wants out? Or we didn't
Yes.
say that, but if he were to want out, is it enough now to pacify? Who knows? Like, I think that the best thing that can happen, and we said this as soon as the season basically ended, is to get time away. Like, just get away from the building, have some time to yourself, get away from it, try to decompress a little bit, and then come back after a couple months, and then go, okay, like,
For sure.
let's see where we're at, and maybe new beginnings there is helpful in staying in Philadelphia. So, Ed with a 5, appreciate that one as well. Didn't see the comment, but we do appreciate the support. L with the 5 also. People forget he played the position and was coached under 3 really good coaches. I think playing QB goes a long way to play calling, and I would absolutely agree. I think it typically does, especially the NFL level, and especially with the system, right? That's a big point, because people go, it'd be a Brian Johnson played quarterback in college, but Brian Johnson played quarterback. He did, but he was under Sirianni, and he was also micromanaged a ton by Sirianni and that offense.
Yes.
John with the 2. Too bad AJ is leaving. John, you don't know that, though. He could.
We don't know that.
I wouldn't be shocked if he does, but
Definitely
we
could.
also don't know that. Jason
Yeah.
with a 5. We had a lot of holes. Going to take some creativity, so he'll be the new head coach in Green Bay in 2 years. Just be aggressive. They try to hire him back.
There you go.
Bring him back there.
Yeah, well.
I don't know. If he does, though, that does mean we win another Super
Means
Bowl.
he
So
was successful.
Do you
Yes, it does.
accept that? I think that I would. New Jersey with a 5. Some got to remember Andy Reid. First went to his Philly during his coaching days, and here nobody knew who he was. Limited experience, but he was successful. That's something we'll keep bringing up.
Yeah.
Corpus with a 5. Last time we hired a rinse and repeat coach from Green Bay. Went to 4 straight NFC Championship appearances, I guess. Go Birds.
There you go.
See?
That's not bad. That's
It
not
works.
bad. Well, we will take
I think
it.
we're positive. Last super chat here, it looks like. We appreciate this. Sapien with a 2. Hopefully this means Moorhead and Frazier are out. And that it's potential, right? Like it's more than likely most of the time. We saw this
Could
with
be.
Kellen Moore. We see it with all the external hires. When they get brought in, they bring in new guys. For Kellen Moore, it was Doug Nussmeier as the quarterback's coach. So you would imagine probably Scott Loeffler is gone as the QB coach. A little bit different, though, because, again, Mannion's not established as an OC and a play caller, so he doesn't necessarily have his staff, where Kellen was like, oh, hey, everywhere he's gone, Doug Nussmeier has basically been there. So that was kind of a foregone conclusion. But, yeah, you keep an eye here, because you would expect that we're going to have some other changes and other hires throughout the days.
By the way, let me just say
yes.
this. 2 free agents for the Green Bay Packers this coming off season, Josh. Romeo Dobbs and also Rasheed Walker, their offensive tackle. There's just saying.
Hey,
just saying.
All right, that
Could be interesting.
maybe that's
Just
actually
saying.
a good point there. Yes, and Dobbs was pretty good, So you got the connection there. If the Eagles want to make a move there and bring somebody else, might have the wide receiver 3 of sorts. I like that. That is very interesting. Okay, a couple more here actually at the buzzer. We do appreciate that. Anthony, dude, the 50 bomb.
Oh,
Anthony
my
Perry,
gosh.
appreciate that. Just supporting and celebrating the movement forward. Go Birds.
Thank you very much.
Again,
we appreciate that.
Say this all the time, but never gets old. Like I say, you guys are the best. The support is incredible. We appreciate that. St. Louis Sean with a 5. The Eagles need to hire an OC that has no chance at a head coach job. Jalen hasn't had the same OC since high school. Maybe that's in reference to saying that this is the hire. I think it said needed to, but they've obviously hired Sean Mannion. Hopefully he's here for a little bit. Darth Panda with a 2 also. What does that mean for the offensive coaching staff? I just answered that a second ago. I think it was real quick on that statement, but probably some turnover. And then Lunar Wolf with a 5 also. Adam saying things to come next week. What is it? I wonder. And that's what we'll see.
We are all wondering. Probably Lane Johnson retiring. I don't think it's Vic Fangio. Let's all pray it's not. Maybe an extension for Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. Those are the options.
Nice. We would take that. That would feel a little better than some of the others. But again, feel free. Go back for those just joining or kind of late on this. Obviously, the Eagles hiring Sean Mannion as their new offensive coordinator. Rewind it, watch the full thing in its entirety. Our recap and reactions. More videos to come, and also just other news and speculation of reports and stuff that we talked about in an earlier stream. Feel free to check that one out. At the buzzer.
At the buzzer, we got a big one.
Got a couple that came in here, so make sure you hit on those.
Yeah.
DJ with the 2, he just needs to be 38% better than Patullo. I don't know where that number is coming from.
I'd take 20% better.
Any sort of percentage. We're not. Beggars can't be choosers, and that's where it feels like we came from with Patullo.
Real.
Incorporeal with a 10, hire Nick Foles as the quarterback coach, and I'll feel better. There's another one. We're going to keep having those Nick Foles.
But we're going to keep having them, yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
Kevin with the 100 bomb, the hundo.
Whoa.
Wow, that's the biggest one, I mean, at least over this last month. I don't know when the last time was we had a hundo. So, Kevin, you're the man. Appreciate that. Do not agree with this hire. Nick was the problem. He doesn't know football, and nobody wants to work under him. Jalen is coachable. We need a head coach who has an established play caller or is an established play caller, not another yes man for someone who doesn't even know what his own scheme is.
Kevin, I hear what you're saying, right? I understand, and the frustration with Nick Sirianni, I have it. I'm right there with you. But Nick Sirianni has won a Super Bowl with a competent offensive coordinator. So my hope is, trying to be glass half full because I want the Eagles to be good. I'm happier when the Eagles win football games, is that Mannion does know what his scheme is going to be. He's worked under a bunch of really good scheming guys and hopefully taken a little bit of McVay, a little bit of LaFleur, a little bit of Stefanski, a little bit of O'Connell, mixes it all together and builds an offense that has Jalen Hurts being successful, whether that's what Malik Willis did a couple of times that they called plays over there, or they ran, that scheme when Willis filled in for Jordan Love, or something completely different. But we have seen that when Sirianni has a competent play caller, Philadelphia does very, very well. Now, would you like to have a competent head coach who also called plays? I would. But there's not much. Sean McVays don't grow on trees. And now maybe you might have found the next Sean McVay, and he could be a play caller and a future head coach. Who knows? But at this point, I think this was the best option Philadelphia had in the board, and now we wait and see.
That's what we do. But it's optimistic. I'm feeling pretty good. Yes, Kevin, we do appreciate the support.
We appreciate it.
I didn't know where that super chat was going before I said that. Not as much in favor of the comments. I understand some.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Thoughts,
I understand what
right,
you're saying.
in general of where it could be and all this other stuff. But I am hopeful that it's different, and we'll see. They said autonomy, try to get away from things, get away from Sirianni connections, which they obviously did. So remains to be seen. Shout out Red Scorpion with 10 Philly Special Show memberships. Congrats to people that got in on that. So the giveaways there throughout the month, but appreciate that one. Big time, and also CSD with the 2 here at the buzzer. Well, it can't be worse. And that is true.
Can't be worse. That's a great way to end it. It can't be worse. Can't be worse.
I mean, even as negative as you want to get, you cannot say that it is worse than Kevin Patullo. So we will take it there. But like I say, more videos, recaps, thoughts, and other news, because the Eagles are going to have to start making moves as far as the coaching staff and everything there. So we will get that in. And, well, as I say that, last 2 at the buzzer. You guys keep doing this. I think this is intentional. But, whoa, we got another. Anthony couldn't be undone. Anthony with 100. 100.
Whoa.
Back-to-back. Are you serious? Let's go,
Anthony.
bro. Seriously. You did the 50 bomb and then the 100? Man. Was it payday today?
My
appreciate
goodness.
that. I don't know, bro. Thank you so much. Says I think, and this is positivity, but it says I think we're gonna be fine. Relax.
There you go. There you go.
Relax.
We're
gonna be all right. D Pitt also the 10. Don't love the hire. It's high risk, high reward, but I am worried about Fangio with people saying he may retire.
Yeah, well, we'll have a live show if he does, and we'll be happy if he doesn't. Let's say that.
Yes.
Let's say that.
Yep. We certainly will. We'll be breaking news as soon as it happens, or at least going live on the breaking news as soon as it happens. But again, you guys are the best. Y'all know that. Best community on YouTube because of y'all. And Birds got their OC, Sean Mannion. We'll see you guys.
They got him.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.